Hello, everyone, and welcome to New York Empoleon's final team builder of the PCL. We are here this week taking on Quincy, coach of the Charlotte Honchkrows. And if you have not seen, we did face Quincy not very long ago in the last week of the regular season. We were both going into the last week at 6-2. We decided there was a very good chance we were going to play in finals. Let's not show anyone any real sets. And we just memed out. We both auto-qualified for the semifinals. We both won our semifinal matches. And here we are, once more, looking to finally capture a title here in the PCL. I have never done it. It is the longest league I've been a part of, except for the TBL. It is the longest league I've been a part of. I've been in it since PCL Season 2. And here we are. Austin has already announced this will be the final season of the PCL. So there's no future, like PCL or anything like that. So we're not gonna redo this or anything. We're just gonna take that, and I realized I didn't have it on the right screen. Excuse me. So my opponent's team, if you don't remember, is, and that's probably because I've never done a team builder before, is Noivern, Alolan Raichu, Comfey, Basculin, GMax, Rillaboom, Stonjourner, Vaporeon, Galarian, Weezing, Incineroar, Melmetal, and Runerigus. This team deserves to have won the regular season, albeit with the caveat of being luckier when moves aren't 100% accurate, albeit, but he did beat me with this team. It's a very good team, a very scary team. There's a lot of threats up and down, but the one benefit we have is that we have not shown him what our team is capable of. And this is it. If I need my Pokemon to perform, to show up, we're going to have this battle to prove that we deserve to win a championship here, or we're going to congratulate our opponent on a job well done in a season that we should be proud of, and so should he, regardless of the outcome here. I think this is going to be a really good battle, a really fun battle, and then a champion who's deservedly will be crowned. And I have no idea who that's going to be. I do record these first, so don't think that I'm like trying to like sell myself short or anything. I don't know. We're battling in like an hour. But his team, we haven't gone over it before because we didn't actually do it in a team builder before. So I just want to go through some of what I saw. Obviously, Melmetal is a huge problem, but Galarian Weezing's neutralizing gas is a bigger problem for my team than actually I think you'd realize. Stonjourner is surprisingly fast for what it is, like, you know, just kind of a sweeper. Not a sweeper, but like, I'd assume it's a wall. It's like Skarmory thing where it's like fast wall, but Stonjourner uses that to be more of a tank, more offensive than Skarmory does. Thankfully, he doesn't have automatic electric terrain for the Raichu, so it can't be super fast. And Raichu doesn't present the best matchup against my roster, although it is definitely a threat that I need to keep in mind. His Rillaboom is also a problem. Now, the things that can switch into the Rotom, we'll notice he doesn't have an electric immunity outside of Runerigus. Runerigus, I don't think, comes here, since the electric type I have is the Rotom Wash, which beats the Runerigus 1v1. So Volt Switch is super free to click, basically no matter what. And if I don't want to click that, Willow is also super safe because Incineroar struggles to switch into Rotom as well. I max Fizz Def, max HP with a Rocky Helmet to be able to switch into the Melmetal, take Double Iron Bashes. Bandit Double Iron Bash doesn't 2-hit KO. Incineroar's Flare Blitz doesn't 2-hit KO. Stonjourner's Stone Edge doesn't 2-hit KO. Rillaboom kills me, no doubt about that, but at least I can take a non-grass type attack if I need to. You know, maybe he's predicting a switch or something, and I'm going to be able to fire off a Will-O-Wisp. We don't have a lot of speed. We're just running the 4 speed because we want to run max def, so his Rillaboom will probably outspeed me. But being able to fire off some Willows early, some Volt Switches throughout the game will be super helpful as the game wears along. Next up is my other physical wall here. It is going to be my Avalugg. Avalugg is going to be rocking out with Recover, Avalanche, Rapid Spin, and Body Press. I have only brought it once this entire season. I picked it up halfway through. Didn't get a ton of chances to get a lot of use out of it, but here it is representing a phenomenal matchup here in the last game of the season. So couldn't be happier with the fact that I picked this thing up. It has the Rapid Spin. That is my removal this week. He does have access to T-Spikes in the Weezing as well as Rocks on a couple of Mons. So definitely something I'm going to have to be paying attention to. Body Press plus Avalanche hits his entire team incredibly hard. The speed tier on this obviously doesn't leave a lot to be desired because it's supposed to be slow. Avalanche loves that. So I'm sturdy. If you take any one hit, we're just going to be able to damage him. with this thing, maybe recover off if Rillaboom is becoming an issue. You know, if it's already GMax, we switch in, he's at neutral, can take any hit and recover off some damage, take another hit, recover off some damage, and then when Rillaboom's GMax is gone, I don't want to have this thing in against Rillaboom and let it set up Swords Dances right off the bat. So either I click Avalanche, just because if he clicks Swords Dance, he's taking 70%, or I switch out against the Rillaboom immediately, but I can bring this thing in on a currently G-Maxed Rillaboom that doesn't have any Swords Dances up and go from there. Next up is one of my early game offensive pressure options, as well as a late game cleaner, and pretty solid revenge killer here. It is Bandit or Shifu. You know what, guys? We're bringing a Bandit or Shifu in the finals because this thing is just dumb. Wicked Blow, if it outspeeds or if it forces a switch, like something's dying. Now, his switch into this is the Galarian Weezing, and Iron Head does 2-hit KO if I'm banded, but I couldn't fit it on the set, so my option against the Weezing is mostly just to click U-turn. I mean, banded Wicked Blow is still doing roughly 40% to a physically defensive Weezing, so it's not like that's a bad option, but it's definitely not premier, whereas Iron Head would be so much better. I just couldn't fit it on the set because of how much damage Wicked Blow plus Close Combat do to his roster outside of Weezing. He does also have the Comfey, which I definitely have to watch out for, which is why U-turn was so vital, because I don't exactly know which one of those two will be his switch into this. But I do want to be able to U-turn, get out, and get into something that can handle the Weezing and the Comfey, which I do have answers to on my roster. Salazzle, for instance, can deal with either one pretty well. Doesn't obviously love being hit by Leech Seed or anything like that, but Toxic, being able to Toxic anything on his roster, super nice this week, just being able to get some chip damage off on literally whatever. And then if I do get the opportunity, I am fast on everything but the Noivern on his roster and the Raichu that has the Surge Surfer, and I can just go for a Nasty Plot and start doing tons of damage. I can OHKO a Stonjourner with a resisted move if he's offensive if I'm at +2. Like, I can just straight up kill that thing, even if the move is resisted, which both of my moves are. Nothing wants to switch in on it. Nothing appreciates its stab options. And the really nice thing is, like, Weezing, sort of, you're almost like, oh, he's going to go for a Flamethrower because poison, but it's actually neutral, which is super nice. His only immunity to poison being the Melmetal, and the resistance in Stonjourner and Runerigus, but Flamethrower can hit those really, really hard as well. And again, Stonjourner does not take a +2 hit well at all. It is not a switch into this thing safely. If he switches it in hard and I go for the Flamethrower or the Nasty Plot, I might assume that he's Scarfed, but otherwise, I think this thing does so much work for me. I am Boots just in case he sets up some of those hazards. Boots still gets rid of the Toxic Spikes, so that's another reason that I wanted to bring this thing. And so I can't be chipped down from Stealth Rocks or anything like that, so that is good to have. Next up is my Hatterin GMax this week with the Psychic, Mystical Fire, Dazzling Gleam, and Nuzzle, holding an Assault Vest, so we're not actually going Trick Room. His team does have a semi-counter Trick Room element to it, and I wanted to have some speed on stuff. I haven't run it at all with speed this entire season, so I figured this is a good chance to do a little mix-up here. I'm running enough speed to outspeed 12-speed Melmetal, so I'm actually running 60 speed in this thing to really catch that Melmetal by surprise. Nuzzle can also help him not realize that I have speed investment if I can force some switches. And I'm not really going to click any GMax Nuzzle because that gives Raichu the electric terrain. But if I can just click like GMax Dazzling Gleam or GMax Smite, and is just so good against his roster, and then Psychic is super nice to have that Psychic terrain. Again, I opted for Psychic over Expanding Force here just because of this thing actually plays pretty much where it doesn't want to Gmax right away. You want to be able to do damage and get a couple attacks off and threaten things with Nuzzle and stuff where you don't get the para if you Gmax prior to Gmaxing. Mystical Fire, OHKO's non-AV Melmetal from full if I'm Gmaxed, which is fantastic. So I do have options like that on the board here. So this thing hits his team incredibly hard. It's so nice to have access to, and that Nuzzle just could come in huge in the mid to late game, depending on what we see his switch into this is. You know, if he does go into something like the Comfey that is especially defensive, we do have access to the Nuzzle, paralyze it, and threaten that thing later with other Mons. Would be incredible, because Comfey, it's just a wall. I hate Comfey so much. Hate facing it. It's a good Mon, but I just hate facing it so much. But Weezing does not appreciate getting nuzzled here, and then Nuzzle into Psychic, since I outspeed, can kill the Weezing if it's physically defensive, which I can scout based on the amount of damage Nuzzle does. So that's super useful to have access to, and I'm really excited to use this one, because again, I think he's going to expect me to go Trick Room, because this thing does underspeed Melmetal, and I'd prefer it to, like, that's easy to run, but I'm actually opting not to go for that this week to try to catch him by surprise when I don't go for Trick Room and still outspeed his Melmetal. And lastly is my true finisher this week, the Mon that I expect, if I'm going to win this fight, if I'm going to win this league, will finish the battle on the field, is Scizor. This thing goes ham against his roster, absolutely ballistic against his roster. Life Orb, Swords Dance, Bug Bite, Bullet Punch, and Superpower cover his entire roster. Vaporeon gets vaporized by +2 Bug Bite with a Life Orb. I'm going to take hits from the Rillaboom just fine. Quad Resistant Grass is amazing. Not being weak to fighting is amazing. Or Ground, which are the real common coverage moves that Rillaboom runs, can take those hits. +2 Bullet Punch is going to blaze through things. Noivern doesn't live it from full. Comfey dies from full. Weezing can live on the slightest a bit if it is fully physically defensive if I'm at +2 because of the fact that it gets rid of Technician if it is neutralizing gas. So I am going to be wary of Weezing still at full health, but I can chip that thing down with other mons. I have switch-ins to Weezing, since Weezing will almost always not go for a poison type move if Scizor's on the battlefield, so I can almost always safely either go into Hatterin or Salazzle or one of my other mons to really check that Weezing and get that chip damage off so that later a +2 Bullet Punch can kill it. Now, Melmetal also feels like a safe switch in, but Superpower at +2 just obliterates that thing. That thing is gone. So Incineroar, definitely something I have to watch out for. This Scizor does not appreciate Incineroar at full health. That's why this thing is a mid-game to late game you know, I'm not going to be able to set up with it early game and see that Incineroar come in, because if I Superpower once, I'm back to +1, Incineroar comes in, I'm intimidated, I'm back to neutral anyway, I might as well switch out. I'm not going to stay in and just, like, let this thing go down. This thing is so hard for him to kill, and this is my win con this week, 100%. If I let this thing go down early, you should expect me to lose that game. But if all goes according to plan, I'm going to get things chipped. Mostly the Incineroar is what I'm looking at, but also a little bit on the Weezing, and a little bit on the Basculin and Rillaboom perhaps, and then this Scizor can just go nuts. And running just a little bit of speed so that I don't speed tie with the Vaporeon. I'm not worried about outspeeding this on Journer because my main click on that is the Bullet Punch, so I don't really care. But I just don't want to speed tie with the Vaporeon. I just want to make sure I outspeed that. That's really why I'm running just a little bit of speed. And, you know, I don't want Incineroar just speed creeping the Scizor. So I just put a little bit in to push myself over those little speed creep edges. But this thing should, by all accounts, go absolutely ham this week. So I am super excited to use this Scizor and see what happens. And the rest of my team, this is the final time they will get a chance to show themselves. This is the championship battle. We were here in the TBL just a couple months ago, and we managed to find a way to get it done. So I'm hoping that here in the PCL we'll have the same fortunate outcome. But my opponent is very talented, and he is out for blood. So we are going to have to see what happens. I hope you guys are excited. That battle will come out as usual tomorrow, and I will see you guys back here. Take care, everybody.